Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In my last video, I discussed about the advent of Europeans and about the reason of European advents. I discussed about the advent of Portuguese, Dutch and English in India. In this video, I am going to discuss about the rise of British power in India, in Bengal, where I am going to discuss about the appointment of British ambassador in Jahangir court and about zenith of Mughal Empire in the Aurangzeb period. I'm going to discuss about the rise of British power in Bengal or Plassey to Diwani, about the history of Bengal from period of Mughals. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump to the first topic, which is the appointment of British ambassador in Jahangir's court. British King James I appointed an ambassador in the court of Jahangir, and finally Jahangir gave official permission to construct factory in entire Mughal territory. It was very big announcement because keep on expanding. The Mughals were keep on expanding and the company also established different factories at many places in India. By the time of Aurangzeb, Empire had reached its zenith. Therefore, company was able to establish factories in many parts of India. They established many forts. Madras was taken on lease from the ruler of Chandragiri and it was fortified and known as Fort St. George. This was the first fort constructed by the British. Bombay was taken on lease from Charles on £10 annually. It was a gift to King Charles as dowry from in order to consolidate it, the position with British by the Portugal. Fort St. David was the fort captured from Maratha. Job Charnock, he has taken three villages on lease, which were the Govindpur, Sultanati, and Kalikota. These were fortified and named as Kolkata. British were very much fascinated with Bengal, and all the British used to live in Sultanati, and it was fortified as St. Fort Williams. Now let us understand about the rise of British power in Bengal, or we can say the Plassey to Diwani. By the time of Aurangzeb, company had all India presence, but company was more focused in Bengal, and there were many reasons behind it. First, the Bengal was a large state as very prosperous state, and its prosperity was related to Bengali handicraft as well as availability of cash crops. Bengal produced indigo, tea, jute, opium, etc., and even there was huge cotton export done from here. Next was the geographical location of Bengal, which was such as that it participated in Asiatic trade and as well as intercontinental trade. There were many settlements of English in Southeast Asia. Bengal had better connectivity with these settlements compared to other places of India. So these were the reasons why Bengal was so economically important for British. Now let's proceed further and discuss about the other things. Like the after the death of Aurangzeb, there was rise of many autonomous states. Reasons was still Aurangzeb, Mughals exercised control over regional states on the basis of two decrees. First was politico-military sovereignty, means Mughal control the military. They were respected also. Second was the ritual sovereignty. After the death of Aurangzeb, politico military sovereignty was lost, cause the successors were very weak. Aurangzeb's son, who was Bahadur Shah Pratham, he was also known as Shahib Akbar. So we can say he was so misinformed. Jahadar Shah was also known as Lampat Murk. And about the rest all, they were the puppet. If any farmans were released, some regional states who were associated with Mughals accept those because of the presence of ritual sovereignty. They were the autonomous state. I can say they were the autonomous state because they were following the ritual sovereignty even after the death of Aurangzeb. So these were like Bengal, Maratha, Nizam, Sindh, Awadh, etc. As I mentioned, these were known as the autonomous. but not independent because of the great Mughal had the other type of sovereignty, ritual sovereignty. It was followed by these states. After the death of Aurangzeb, political military sovereignty, as I have mentioned, was lost. But Mughals still maintained the ritual sovereignty. Therefore, these states were not autonomous states. Now, let us understand the history of Bengal from the period of Mughals. Murshid Quli Khan was founder of autonomous state Bengal. He was known as Nawab, Nawab Murshid Quli Khan. He was Brahmin of Maharashtra. Aurangzeb was very much influenced or fascinated by his skill of understanding land revenue related issues. So he was appointed as the land revenue expert of Deccan and he successfully established land revenue system in Deccan. Therefore Aurangzeb was very much impressed. Even Murshid Quli Khan, who was Brahmin, converted into Muslim. This all impressed Aurangzeb a lot. As a reward, Aurangzeb appointed him as a Subedar of Bengal. He was also known as Todarmal of Deccan. After the death of Aurangzeb, he paid rich tribute to Mughals and purchased the Nawabi. He laid the foundation of new city, Murshidabad, which became the capital of Bengal. He changed the autocracy of Bengal by creating new class, Jamindari class. After the death of Aurangzeb, nobles became the kingmakers. In Mughal courts, there were three types of nobles: Irani, Turani, and Hindustani. Irani, the people were from Iran; Turani group, the people who were from Turkish; and the last is the Hindustani group. These were the Hindu who were converted to Muslims. Now these classes they used to fight with each other. Hindustani group was led by Sayyid brother. They were famous as kingmakers. They appointed Farrukhshir as king of Mughals. In the year 1717, Farrukhshir was operated by Company's Dr. Hamilton. He was so impressed and happy with Company that he issued a farman and granted free trade in Bengal, Gujarat, and Deccan in only rupees 10,000 per year to British as a gift. Company got right to issue dastak, which was the right to trade free as a pass. After Murshid Quli Khan, the next Nawab was Sujauddin. He also gave rich tribute to Mughal, and Bihar and Orissa were also added in Bengal. Therefore, Bengal was increased in size. So, Sujauddin was joint Nawab of Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa. Automatically, company got dastak for Bihar and Orissa also. They became more rich. Next, Nawab was Sarfaraz Khan, and he was very lazy and a useless person. Next Nawab was Alivardi Khan. By the time when Alivardi Khan got the power, the situation was very difficult. Relation between Nawab and company was not very smooth because of misuse of dastak, which was originally granted to East India Company, but servants of East India Company were utilizing it. This dastak was used for their private trade. They were not paying any tax, which was a matter of tension for the Nawab. He was losing the revenue. There was another issue, and that was they were sometimes sold that dastak to Indian merchants also. Therefore, Nawab was losing the revenue, but Alivardi was an opportunist. He, instead of having conflict with company, he started taking maximum benefits of trade from the company. He asked for the share of trade benefits from the company. He compared the company with bees. So he never fought with the company. He said, if we nourish it, it will give you honey, or else it will sting. Alivardi Khan was not having any son. He was only having daughters and son in laws, and he was having so many grandsons who were aspiring to become the successor. Out of them, he chose Siraj ud Dawla. Siraj ud Dawla was appointed as the Nawab, and his accession was not accepted, or we can say it was not very smooth, as other grandsons were very much angry and challenged Siraj ud Dawla. The most powerful challenger was Shaukat Jung and his mother Ghasiti Begum. The main problem was in meanwhile Calcutta. There were two companies, French and English, had very much powerful presence in there. The economic activities were happening in Calcutta. Capital was Murshidabad. There was conflict in between English and the French. They started fortifying their settlements because of Anglo-French rivalry. English started fortifying for the Fort William, whereas French started fortifying Chandranagar. It was a challenge to Siraj-ud-Dawla, cause fortification means no entry of Siraj's army in those areas. He passed an order and warned to those English and French. It was challenged to the sovereignty of Nawab. English and French to stop fortification. French listened to them and stopped fortification, but English they didn't and continued. So Siraj taken military action on English and defeated them. All the Englishmen they ran away from St. Fort William to an island named Pulta. This news of their loss, or we can say their defeat, was spreaded all over. Entire Fort William was vacated, and after this military conflict, Siraj ud Dawla returned back to Murshidabad to take rest, leaving the entire Calcutta in the hands of conspirators like Manikchand, Omichan, Jagat Seth, Rai, Rai Dullab, Mir Zafar. These all were conspirators, but Siraj ud Dawla didn't recognize their real intentions. Mir Zafar was the head of military. Now, in between, let us understand the incident of Black Hole. One of the servants of East India Company, Holwell, presented a story in which it was said that many Englishmen were caught by Siraj ud Dawla and they were locked in ill-ventilated room resulted in being casualty. Many Englishmen had lost their lives, but we doubt the authenticity of this story because it was never verified by any other sources. There was a contemporary poet of Bengal, Ghulam Hussain, who wrote Siyar-ul Mukhtarin, where describing all the events related to the Battle of Plassey. But he never mentioned any such incident. He never mentioned anything related to even Black Hole tragedy. Therefore, we doubted the authenticity of story. After hearing about this incident, British government decided to send troops in India. And Robert Clive and Watson came to Bengal and get alliance with anti-Siraj forces. Clive wanted to replace Siraj ud Dawla. Meanwhile, Siraj ud Dawla came to Calcutta and in order to cool down the situation, concluded the Treaty of Alinagar on 9th February 1757. It was historic incident. In this treaty, Siraj agreed to fulfill all the demands like fortification and even the use of dastak. But the biggest demand was accepted by Siraj ud Dawla and was right to mint the coins. Therefore, sovereign right of Nawab was also handed over to company. From economic prominency to political strengthening of company took place. This treaty didn't work as Clive did not want Siraj to be the Nawab anymore, and which led to Battle of Plassey. Siraj lost this war and was murdered by Mir Zafar's son Miran. English company which came to India for trading now become the political power in Bengal. It was the beginning of new colonial phase. By this, I am concluding my video. And if you find my video interesting, kindly like, share and subscribe. Thank you.